Stories Philippines podcast.
A faint glimmer breaks from the violet smudge of twilight. In San Rafael's new town, construction dust hangs heavy in the air, settling in cracks and crevices before night settles fully. Where streetlights flicker on but roads feel unfinished, questions form and burrow down deep. Who built these rows of identical houses so quickly, so eagerly? What had to be moved? What had to be sacrificed for concrete and glass to press into earth once thick with trees and the echoes of old stories? Why, in places called subdivisions, do so many feel so divided from peace? Some neighborhoods, perfectly straight, newly mapped, almost sterile, hide whispers that are nothing like the ones you find in ancient town plazas or chapels. Here, silence is not stillness. It is a warning, sharp as the scent of wet cement and as haunting as laughter from children long gone. Do you ever wonder what gets left behind when a new town rises almost overnight? Who wanders by dusk, staring through windows just installed, searching for comfort, for restitution, or simply for the right to rest? Before you listen more deeply, a warning. This episode explores shadows that move just beyond the safe edges of home. There are moments and memories within that some listeners may find truly unsettling. Please proceed only if you are ready to face the darkness, for not all who walk these silent streets ever find their way out again. I am Jessica, and you are listening to Stories Philippines podcast. This is Season 3, Episode 7, The Children of the New Town, The Ghosts of Unfinished Subdivisions. Find show notes and support options in the description. Submit your stories to storiesphpodcast@gmail.com. Access exclusive content on Patreon. Follow us on social media for daily folklore facts. The boundaries of San Rafael changed rapidly in the early 2000s. Developers eyed parcels of rice fields and fruit orchards, the old heartbeat of rural Bulacan, and replaced them with straight asphalt roads, electric wiring, and echoing halls of cement block houses. Plans etched in glass offices quickly became reality, but not everyone welcomed the change. The displaced, whose homes were bought out or bulldozed, sometimes found themselves wandering on the very streets where their ancestors had once planted seeds. Stories began quietly. First, workers whispered among themselves, how one man had fallen from scaffolding and was never really mourned, how another lost in the pits below never felt truly found. In subdivisions like San Rafael, space that once thrummed with animal life and children's games now seemed heavy with regret. Locals spoke of the evenings, a little chill in the summer air, sudden winds stirring dust long after the machines stopped. And sometimes, neighbors heard children laughing, although none were ever seen. One story comes from River, who moved into a cousin's new house in San Rafael in May 2005. Her family had just settled into the partly finished subdivision, where houses crouched in rows but only half were occupied. One morning, River slept late and dreamed of bedsheets left scattered on the floor. She woke, feeling the edge of fear, and went to fix the mess, only to glance up and see a small face peering through the door. A little boy who, in the dream, begged to be taken to see his mother. She followed him out past the gate and with an icy nip, the boy bit her hand before vanishing. Upon waking, River found a bruise shaped like tiny teeth. Her mother, already gone from the world but present in her subconscious, led her to an albulario for healing, warning her to guard herself against spirits that latch on where homes are only half alive. Submit your stories to our email, stories.phpodcast@gmail.com. Find show notes and support options in the description. Access exclusive content on Patreon. San Rafael is not alone in these hauntings. Across the archipelago, urban horror has grown alongside development. In Cavite, abandoned towns such as those covered in the YouTube investigation by local explorers have become hotspots for unusual activity. Investigators described walking through skeletal homes, smelling leaves where none grew, and sensing more than 24 restless spirits, some eager, some angry, most unresolved. Not all were victims of construction accidents. Many, it seemed, were people caught between loss and the relentless march of progress. The history of San Rafael is littered with wounds. The old San Rafael church, named for San Juan de Dios, witnessed the massacre of hundreds in the late 19th century. Locals speak of ghostly children seen playing among pews and stone corridors, of nuns kneeling in endless prayer, of ancestors refusing to leave places that gave them comfort before the new town erased those memories. As these stories multiplied, families began to leave offerings at curbside corners or beneath acacia trees chopped down to clear cul-de-sacs. They understood, perhaps better than architects ever could, that ground memory is not so easily paved over. Another account, submitted anonymously to Spookify, tells of a young girl named Jamay, living outside Batangas, who saw the ghost of a bride in her new home's kitchen. The spirit, it turned out, sought justice for a violent crime that had transpired in a car years before the house was built. The girl's experience, like many in unfinished towns, led to rituals for peace. It is said that as more families settle, some spirits eventually find freedom. Others linger, their unfinished stories blending into laughter heard only by those especially sensitive or unlucky.
Children appear often in these tales. Not just children who died young, but children of the new town, those who experience a unique kind of displacement, never quite rooted, always feeling a tug of homesickness for places their families cannot return to. The wind in new subdivisions often carries their voices, sometimes playing, sometimes calling for lost parents, sometimes simply repeating old songs that no one recognizes anymore. Urban horror in the Philippines carries its own markers. Where some countries haunt castles or woodlands, here the ghosts press against progress, seeking justice or solace, even as their stories grow more tangled with each surveyor's line and each contractor's deadline. Residents of San Rafael recall nights when electric light dances across blank walls, drawing shadow shapes that look nothing like the living. They speak of sudden drops in temperature, of taps on windows, or of the feeling that someone else is just outside, watching, waiting. Modern investigations push into technical territory, using EMF readers and voice recorders. In one subdivision, amateur investigators claim to have captured electronic voices pleading for attention, from children, from workers, from residents who never moved in. Still, good science offers only part of the picture. Fear in these communities is as much about memory as it is about phenomena. Psychologists say that rapid change unsettles the mind, especially in collective trauma zones. But the cultural belief runs deeper.
Unless every spirit is respected and every story given space to finish, emptiness becomes haunted. A girl named Kate, one of the first to move into San Rafael's new town, described sleepless nights filled with footsteps on the second floor when nobody lived upstairs. On rainy days, she heard what sounded like marbles rolling and children giggling from inside the walls. Her mother would leave candies by the window, remembering tales told by neighbors about appeasing the little ones. Sometimes the candies disappeared overnight. San Rafael's developers, eager to promote growth, sometimes struggle against the town's reputation. Real estate agents assure buyers that the stories are simply superstition, that old ground is just ground. But on social media, stories persist, creeping into photo comments, emerging where families post requests for advice about unexplained noises and odd dreams. Support groups spring up, filled with advice on cleansing houses and on honoring the displaced, both living and dead.
Displacement in many towns is as much a spiritual rupture as a physical one. When people lose homes, when Earth is reshaped for someone else's future, ghosts do not merely fade away. They adapt, hiding in fissures, peering out from the space between wall and window, sometimes manifesting in ways that force attention. Some believe the anger of these spirits comes not from their own death, but from the complete erasure of memory, the loss of rice fields, playgrounds, and ancient trees. For those who still doubt, consider what happens when development ignores story. In one case, a worker named Chris lost his life in a trench accident and was mourned only in whispers. His family, denied access to the new town, continues to leave flowers by the only entrance, certain he cannot cross over until someone invites him in. For modern listeners, these stories serve not only as unsettling tales, but as reminders of what we lose in the rush to build. The ghosts of unfinished subdivisions in San Rafael and beyond are not just the spirits of the dead. They are the lingering pain of displacement, the unresolved tension between tradition and ambition, the proof that silence in a new town is rarely empty. Reflection. Walk the streets of any new town at dusk and listen closely. Are you truly alone? Or are you walking among many, living, lost, and longing for closure? As we end this episode, think of all the places we build and all the ghosts we create, not just the ones that frighten us, but the ones that remind us how necessary it is to remember. Do you still think progress is only light, only promise? The ghosts of a new town are the dreams we could not finish, the wounds we never healed, the children who refuse to let us forget. Will you listen for them? Or leave them behind in the rush for the next subdivision? Do not forget to like, subscribe, follow, and share this podcast. Support the podcast financially in ways you can find in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jessica. Until our next story, keep your light on, but never fear the darkness alone.